So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Hola.
Hello. Hi.
But I change it up a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know how to say good morning or hello in any other language. I bet you do. I bet you know French or something.
Buenos días. Yo sé español. Sí.
There you go.
Sí.
Yeah. Hola, buenos días.
Yeah. Bonjour is French.
There you
it
go.
is.
You do know that.
Yeah, I do know that.
So we're doing a little twist on our norm here at Celebrating Arizona today. Do you want to tell the nice people about it?
Certainly. So the idea is that we would feature a chapter in Arizona Friendtrips, our book.
Stories from the Rim.
Yes, our book published by University of Arizona Press, and give you sort of a backstage view or a backstory rather of why we wrote what we wrote, why we've said what we've said about it that is sort of not in the book, and sort of an expanded view of what we give you there.
Yeah. And just in case anybody's face is going to get a little crestfallen here, this is not a lurid behind the scenes.
Oh, Lord, no. No.
There were no crimes committed. No illicit affairs were conducted. No contraband was smuggled. But
okay,
yeah,
that's funny that you say that, because there's sort of a story about that.
Oh my gosh, I reversed my position, and you have to start with that.
No, it's
now.
just related. But yeah, so here's the deal. So in events and in interviews, we've told the story of the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, because this was one of the places where we had very different experiences and very different opinions. And we were sort of proud that in the book we featured that we didn't always agree, and that we liked the fact that we experienced places differently. The South Rim was a very notable example that we would use. And you know, it's Lisa, it's you who loved it. And then I would get the question, but Julie, you really didn't. And I really didn't. And this would sort of be greeted with some surprise and some queries about, you know, well, why is that? And I said, well, it's just some life circumstances happened around it that weren't great, and it sort of colored the place for me. And so I really don't have to go back. And while I won't take you through the muckraking, what I will do is tell you a bit about those experiences and why it feels like just such a red, raw place to me. And yeah,
for which I am sorry, and I'm also pleased that we get to hear what led you to not feel great about the South Rim automatically.
Well, and spoiler alert, I ended up writing a short story about it later. So I appreciate it very much, because it stayed with me and it worked on me. And some of the experience that I had there, the wind, actually, when you and I went on our walk out to the lookout point, I remembered the wind.
On the way to Hermit's Rest.
Yes.
We didn't get to Hermit's Rest, but we walked a long way.
We walked a long way, and
so
out
far
on
that
that,
when we look back, we could look down.
And so, yes, it was a red, raw place, but that's not all it was to me. But for purposes of the book, it was great that we disagreed, and so we stopped there. But
yes,
so with the South Rim, I first went there as an adult with my husband, and I was...
Who is no longer your husband, we will quickly
No,
forget.
We are both divorced, and tragically, he has died 2 years ago now. But at that time, we were married and trying to remain so, and more on that in a minute. We were at an Arizona town hall that took place at the South Rim.
What year was this?
Okay, 2014.
Oh, a fairly recent Arizona town hall. Because I was going to be so excited if it was the one Arizona Town Hall I went to at the South Rim, but it was not.
It was not.
That was 1996.
Okay.
You were probably still in high school. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes. So the topic was economic development.
Okay.
And I was in a group, a discussion group, where a young man wanted to legalize marijuana. So this is the whole thing about the relation to contraband, right?
Okay.
None of us had any, but that I know
well,
of.
that you know.
Yeah. But I found myself. He was kind of a lone voice in the room, and people were, and he didn't have a lot of support, and I found myself wanting to support the underdog.
Yeah.
And because he couldn't express himself so well, I helped him write a resolution to take to the town hall and to the larger group. And I think my group leader really didn't like that I helped him with that. And so, and it was very odd that of all things in this incredible naturescape, I found myself kind of trying to play some politics to help the underdog.
Although town hall is a very logical place to play politics.
Yes, but I mean, like, here's a place that people take photos of the place, right? Like, this isn't, I don't know. You don't go to you don't immediately associate the South Rim with a place that you go to lobby.
Very true.
So
lobby usually means something else.
Yes, exactly right. So here I am, like, kind of trying to help the underdog upstart, and it was very uncomfortable. And then the very next weekend, I was at a wedding in northern Arizona in Clarkdale, and it was also uncomfortable because my husband and I were not in the best place. And this was evident because when we got back to town the next morning, he left me. And so,
whoa.
Yeah. So somehow in my mind, the South Rim kind of gets convicted along with Clarkdale. And I haven't been back to either since then, probably because the image I have is vast red emptiness. And I look at those colors and think, well, that's what raw looks like.
I'll be darned.
So this is what I had. This was my experience. And then you and I decided to go for the book. And I was, kind of not thrilled about it because I really didn't want to be back to this point. So actually, yes, this was the only time that I have been back there was with you, because otherwise I wasn't going to go.
But you gamely went anyway.
I did go.
And actually, one of my favorite photographs of you that I took is of you at our lunch in the bar at the El Tovar.
Yes.
Lucy is not in that shot, but she's in another
she's
shot
in
of you I
another
love
shot.
at the South
Yes.
Rim. Are you at least, was our trip at least better than the first?
No,
No?
because as you'll remember, my other dog had just died right before we made this trip. And so I was reeling from grief. And this is why Lucy came with me. Lucy dog came with me, is because I couldn't leave her alone. And really, I don't think she wanted to leave me alone either. And so,
I'm sure that's...
And this is,
although they went on a lot of trips with us.
They did. Yeah.
So it wasn't sad to have a doggy there, because doggies make trips better.
And she was pretty incredible. I took her travel mat and she sat down right next to us in the bar. And I don't know if they would allow us to do that again, but maybe they just looked at me and thought, yes, you need all the help you can get. We will do this. I don't know what. What was lovely about the trip with you was learning stories that were, lovely stories about the place and why you loved it. Because, for me, it was just so raw. But even in that state, I could hear your delight about things about it. That part did absolutely made it better, but in terms of sort of the experience of kind of what my headspace was, I can't say it was all that better.
Yeah, no. Well, and what's fascinating about this is I remember a lot of this, but I had never heard the Clarkdale addendum.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. And I love Clarkdale, predictably. It's in Arizona, isn't it? But there's a wonderful old building in Clarkdale where I gave a centennial speech.
Yeah.
And Larry, Daddy, went with me, and I've gone to visit Clarkdale just because I'm nearby, and let's go to Clarkdale. And we took our intern from the bureau to Clarkdale, and she did a stand up there for her wonderful, resume tape. But I didn't know that you had an aversion to Clarkdale. That's fascinating.
Yeah. These were both places that I just thought,
isn't
that's
something?
good. We can leave those memories there and move on.
Well, yes, I'm gaga about the South Rim. Although I didn't go till almost adulthood either. I was 17 when my boyfriend, Joe Rosenbaum, who ended up leaving me and having an assignation with my best friend.
Wow.
But not that day. Not that day. I didn't know that yet. But his mother, Florence, took me down. And we had a lovely day. And we were told now, and we'd taken a bus she was visiting me at NAU. And so I knew we didn't have forever. And further, we were told right, I don't know when we were, I guess on the trail, because we wanted to walk down the trail a ways, that it was going to take twice as long to get back. And we panicked and we hot-footed it. I've never walked up that fast in my life.
Oh, yeah.
But we were so good at it that we had a whole hour extra when we got to the top.
Oh, wow.
And as a matter of fact, that was my first visit to the El Tovar bar because we went and had a drink.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Richly
when you talk
deserved.
about they wouldn't let us do that at the South Rim El Tovar bar again. They wouldn't let me have a drink there again because in those days the legal drinking age in Arizona was, I believe, 18.
Oh.
But I was 17.
Oh, how funny.
But nobody asked.
Yeah.
Because back in the old Wild West, nobody asked. So Flo and I had a drink and panted.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And it was that was my introduction to it. One of my favorite things to do is see the South Rim with somebody who's seeing the canyon for the first time. Mm-hmm. That's a type of first experience that I just relish. I think I've done it Randall, Jody Applegate, Nance, Barb, Pat. So five, maybe 6 times. But that's such fun.
Yeah.
And of course, like so many good parts of Arizona, it's a Larry place.
Yeah.
When he and I did the town hall, it snowed while we were sitting in that upstairs room looking out, and the canyon filled with clouds, and it snowed, and it was gorgeous. And I have a picture here in the study
gorgeous. Yeah.
that I took of Hopi House in the snow early the next morning.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So those were good times, and a breakfast with Bob and Patty there. The first time I went to the South Rim after Larry had left us, and Bob and Patty were part of our river trip in 1999. So they had breakfast with me at the South Rim that December day, and that was another lovely South Rim El Tovar again. So I guess the good thing about the expansiveness at the South Rim is that it has room for all of our memories and all of our experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And good and bad. I don't know if I pointed out to you that day the table where I presided over Tom's tea, because he and I had breakfast with Mike Schmidt there, Bureau, at the South Rim after the crash of Canyon 5. And we were there for 3 days at least. And the third day, we were going to fly Canyon 5. It was their first time back up in the air. They ground flights after a crash, especially a fatality crash.
Oh, wow.
And they were going back, and we went up with them. And we got there and found out the flight was at 10 or something, and it was 8. So we decided to have breakfast at El Tovar. And looking back, I like tea. I like the ritual of tea, but I'm a coffee drinker. So when it was delivered to our table, I said to Tom, who didn't know me from Eve at that point, "May I preside over your tea?" And he politely said, "Yeah," thinking, I'm sure, who is this woman and what does tea need that involves presiding and WTF?
Ever. Yeah.
And yet he let me, and so I got to dunk the thing and add the lemon and stir the sugar and the little pot and all of that ritual that pleases me. But there's so much at the South Rim, including our book and our feelings about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? We should take a little break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and talk some more, as Terry Gross says on Fresh Air.
Sounds good.
So I've learned a new word I'm sharing with you, semi-quincentennial, half of 500 or 250. From now on, we can say AZ250. That's the commission leading our celebration of the United States' big birthday next year. We are excited to be the podcast partner, and we'll be sharing aspects of the AZ250 plans. One, the special passport highlighting treasures to visit around Arizona, in addition to hikes and breweries and parks, oh my. You can look it up online with the https://azsos.gov/passport 250. So here we are in the next part of Celebrating Arizona, stories from behind the scenes at the South Rim.
Yes.
Have you ever gone down to see the mules at the South Rim?
No, but I have photographs of them from, is it Tom Browning? I'll think of his name. They've sort of floated between family members because my mother and father had an art gallery in downtown Flagstaff for a while. And they, feature local artists. And there is a photographer, I think, had worked as part of the mule trains. And he took photos of mule trains going out in the very beginning light. One looking down the canyon from between a mule's perfectly flat ears.
Nice.
There are some. There's a photo of a mule in a corral, after it's rolled, and dust is kicked up. They are wonderful photographs, and I had them in my house. I gave them back to Dad so that he could put them up, I think, above his printer. But they've floated among the four of us.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen the mules because I've, in a way, lived with the mules on my walls.
We have a mug. We have a Grand Canyon mug. Our beloved river pilot on our first two trips, 1982 and 4, or 1980s 2 and 4, said it wasn't quite the canyon, but it was more that than the canyon. And so in my head, I frequently hear canyon. But this canyon mug is from 30 years plus and has the little the Desert Watchtower, they call it now. It used to be the Hopi Watchtower, and the Colorado and some other things. So we do have a mug from earlier South Rim trips. Not in the book, but we have pictures in the book. And I don't think the picture of you made it in. You know what? I think we should throw that on the website. The picture of you at the South Rim.
Yeah, it's there. I think it's there.
Oh, is it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah, it is there because
excellent.
We'll have to find where it is, and maybe that'll be on the next episode. But anyway, yes, it is there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I love that shot.
Yep.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now the poem, is that called Raw Red Rock and Other Grievous Things?
No,
I don't think so.
The poem is called Remake.
Okay, well then let's break and come back for remake.
Okay.
Breaking. The folks at Visit Flagstaff are doing all they can to give Route 66 the centennial celebration it deserves. I have a copy of the Flagstaff Visitor's Guide that has an astonishing array of things we can see and do around Route 66 and Flagstaff. We're invited to the Visitor Center in the historic train depot. Before you go hit the road, stop by the station. I did, and I got a holiday ornament and a coaster I love. Visit Flagstaff indeed. This is us, and I'm still glad that picture is there. I just love that shot.
And
Your grief be damned. Yeah. I love the shot.
As with all things, it's the context you're in at the moment that colors how you experience them, or, affects how you experience them. So I bet somebody could have opened a door in a tree at the South Rim and said, "This way to Narnia," and I still would have been, I don't know if I can go. I don't know if I've got the heart for it. I don't
numb and dim and diminished.
Yeah. But in those moments when, but there we were as friends, and you've never been afraid of grief or sadness. And so it was just, all right, like this is just who you are today. That's fine. Come along at your own pace. And we did. And those moments in the bar at El Tovar were lovely. You with a whole heart would see it differently at that time. Yeah.
But I that certainly speaks to the world as we know it, which includes that there can be yawning grief and beautiful moments in very close quarters. Mm-hmm. They inhabit space with each other surprisingly well. Mm-hmm. The grief and the beauty and the joy. And
well, there was my MFA mentors will be so aggrieved. Death is the mother of beauty is one of the great lines out of, I don't think it was Byron. I think it was, that's Ode to a Grecian Urn, I think.
Okay, I've heard of the poem and even own it, but I don't remember.
I think so.
And I've heard the line, but I didn't know that they shared space.
Yeah.
Death is
and I would submit that there are a lot more ways to get to beauty than that way, or maybe it just has a lot of other family members. But but yes, they can share space. Yeah.
Okay, one more fact, and then we will read, and that is that when Daddy Larry and I rafted in '82 with my brothers, he found a quote from Ed Abbey. I think it was in the Hidden Can. No, it wasn't. Anyway, the quote from Ed Abbey, and it's a beautiful quote from Ed Abbey about we are all canyoneers on this mossy living ship called Earth, this delicate dory sailing round the sun. Joy, shipmate, joy. And that is where Shipmate came from.
Yes!
And I called him Shipmate
for
42 years, because that was how long I had him after that first river trip. Now, fast forward, I'm in a bookstore looking at a classic collection of poems and see a poem called Joy, Shipmate, Joy by Walt Whitman.
Wow.
So I buy the damn book and I race home with it to see, wait, what the heck? Well, Ed Abbey borrowed, cribbed, paid tribute to Walt Whitman. And Walt Whitman's poem, Joy, Shipmate, Joy, is eminently forgettable to me compared to Ed Abbey's use of the line.
Wow.
So actually, let's say thank you, Ed Abbey, for cribbing from Walt Whitman, because I like what you did way better with those three words than what he did. But I was surprised to see. Why should I be surprised that Ed Abbey cribbed? Ed Abbey did all kinds of questionable things. So of course
this I didn't know. What's the Ed backstage Abbey on Ed Abbey?
He pushed every envelope that ever was, and even Larry, along with a great many other people, deplored Ed Abbey's treatment of women. He was highly misogynistic, although he also adored women, so he was not either or on women. But he lived on the very, very edge a lot. And it would be the first to be proud of the fact that he did very, very foolish, regrettable things, and probably loved most of them. Was that Abby? And by the way, that lovely chime was Luna, we assume?
Yes, the chime that you're hearing as we're recording, it is getting moment to moment closer to my Luna dog's dinner, and she's counting pretty much by the wags of her tail. And so, and letting me know as she's sort of coming
sounds
around that she's counting and that I have a countdown. So
got it. Well, we will make Luna wait no longer than we have to.
Yeah.
So yes, please read to us about the South Rim.
Okay, so for the South Rim, I wrote a poem called Remake. And it goes, my life is a new production since the last time I was here. As scenes open, I am set on a loop. The road I traveled one way, threading, losing momentum with every forced turn. Now the set reruns. Junipers scraggle along paved paths. Squirrels scurry, kids spill, parents push, hikers spike their sticks into mule-trodden ground. There are millennia in every second, the canyon a strata of stories. While my friends play here as on a silver screen, mine feel overexposed, and I am reeling. And now you know why.
And now I know why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that poem will be on our website, and it is in Arizona Friendtrips.
And it's in the book.
And I love that we did an honest book, a real book, an authentic book, not a saccharine book, not a unicorn book. I like that.
Yeah, there were places,
And this is part of
you
it.
know, there were places we both liked. There were places neither of us liked. We, recorded the differences.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
There were some that were, it was just ambivalent. There was just, or a little confused. So I agree. I think it makes it more real that it's not, lacquered in positivity or something. Yeah.
Yeah, the line about strata was lovely, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Still and again.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll do a little lift out of the book also.
Good.
From the South Rim. Everywhere we walk is lined with visions of trips past. Running along the trail toward the Sunrise Service site in 1991 with Lair, I tripped and didn't sprawl, but miraculously recovered. My sister-in-law, Nancy, took her first look at the panorama and burst into tears of awe. And over there is where I saw now husband Tom park KTV's behemoth satellite truck between the Hopi house and the sidewalk, like putting a yacht into a one-car garage and making it look easy. I can also see an earlier self sitting at the rim, as people have throughout time, staring at the panoply across the black velvet of diamonds that is the star-strewn night over the gorge.
Lovely. And sorry, and here we go. And now we've got licking sounds. We've got it's all of them.
What actually is true also is that we are 16 minutes from Mayor dinner hour, and so we will bid everyone farewell, adieu, adios, and
thank you.
And go rustle up some food for the canines. And yes, thank you for being here.
Yes, as ever.
And someday
always.
we'll have more talk about Clarkdale, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, but no, because I know a former mayor there. There is a wine industry that started there, and I know some of the people that contributed to that. So there are good stories out of every place you go.
Now, do we have any idea if that couple is still married?
They are not.
Okay. Okay, then I'll take us out with the fact that when I was in high school, my dear friend Betsy said, if you ever get married, make sure you don't have Never My Love for your song, because my sister did, and they got a divorce. And Julie, I bet for 40 years, or at least 30 years, I had this sort of reaction to the reference to that old chestnut for weddings, Never My Love, because somebody got a divorce.
Oh my
well, considering
gosh.
half the people who marry get a divorce, how many songs would have to be kicked to the curb on that, on that
funny.
proviso?
Yes.
But,
yeah. Well, and at some point we should talk about, we should probably do a show on songs that we listened to together on the road.
That's a fun
Because
idea.
we did.
We did.
Yeah, and so that
may we have another.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun one to come.
Good.
And if you'd like to send us mail about songs that you're listening to or your experiences at the South Rim, like them or not, we'd love to hear them. And
we love us the letters.
Bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blatney. And I'm Dana Cooper.